Well, last time I went to the first time I came here, I went to visit Father Crancho. So we spoke, different issues, and he told me the problem of you in the resistance is that you have a prejudice against the authorities in Rome. Whatever they do, you say it is a trap. They want to trap us, and yet and because of that, you refuse to consider the good signs in Rome. So I told him that what are the good actions, what is the good happening in Rome, which can show us that there is a substantial change between John Paul II and Pope Francis. So since Paul VI and Benedict XVI. To me, first of all, Summorum Pontificum. So I deny. I say no, but at that time I had not yet taken again the text and studied them. So I told him I will answer to you on that point. I will write you a letter, because I told him. He told me Summorum Pontificum because it is liberalization of the Mass without any condition. And I told him this is not true. There is conditions. The Second Council of Vatican is you must recognize it. Otherwise, you cannot say the traditional Mass. And so this is absolutely false. This is a proof in the resistance. You are twisting the things, making your own belief. It was quite strong. And I told him no. I will send you the documents. You will see. You don't know them. You have not read them. You just repeat what Metzingen tell you. And I say yes. I don't read it. Say you will see. I will send you the documents, and you cannot deny that, Father. If you accept to read them, you will see it is not the traditional Mass free without any condition. There is conditions, and the condition is to be modernist in your belief. You must accept the Second Council of Vatican. So I went back to the text. I found them. It is easy to find them. You go to the Vatican website and you find Summorum Pontificum and the letter going with it. There is a letter going with Summorum Pontificum. Very important. You will find priests. They say you must take Summorum Pontificum and you don't care about this letter because this is not the motu proprio itself. This is wrong. Every pontifical document, at least for the 20th century, from the 20th century, goes with an official interpretation. The popes, they know when they issue a document, there is always discussion about how to interpret. So from the 20th century, usually the Pope, they have taken the care to issue that encyclical, this motu proprio, with a letter going with it, usually. For example, there is a famous encyclical of Pius XI about the national socialism in Germany, mit Brennender Sorge. And it goes with a letter to explain how to understand this encyclical. And this letter is barely known by people. And if you don't have it, like most of the people, you mistake about the encyclical. Doesn't matter, so it is just an example. Same for Summorum Pontificum. The same day, Benedict XVI wrote a letter to all the bishops of the world to explain what he meant by this Summorum Pontificum. So the two, they go together. So, if you read Summorum Pontificum, article 1, paragraph 1 to 6, it is excellent. If you cut Summorum Pontificum there, Pius X could sign it. It's beautiful, about that the liturgy must express the faith that Rome has had from all time, the faith who has never changed. That the liturgy must be celebrated as Rome has always celebrated the liturgy. Yes, together. But paragraph 7, and the Second Council of Vatican has renewed, in continuity with the liturgical tradition, the Mass of all time. So, in the first part of Summorum Pontificum, so there is a long introduction with 9 paragraphs. In this introduction, Benedict XVI applies to the liturgy his well-known principle, which is interpreting the Second Council of Vatican in the light of the tradition. The hermeneutic of continuity. So for Benedict XVI, the magisterium cannot contradict itself, which is true. Therefore, there is no contradiction. Therefore, since Second Council of Vatican is part of the magisterium, therefore the Second Council of Vatican cannot contradict the magisterium of the past century. Benedict XVI believes that the faith is one, but there is 2 ways to live your faith. In the light of the tradition, or in a modern way. Those 2 ways seems to be opposed, but in God they are reunited. Because God is but the reunion of the opposites. For example, God is Father and Son. He is one and multiple. He is Vetus and Novus. He is modern and traditional. And poor human beings as we are, we cannot understand the deep convergence of modernism and tradition. But it goes together. This is his mindset, the mindset of Benedict XVI. It has been very well done, very well explained by Bishop Lissier in his book, I don't know in English, something like the bizarre theology of Benedict XVI. Strange theology of Benedict XVI, I don't know in English the title. He explained very well this schizophrenia about the faith, So he applies this to the liturgy. Same Mass, 2 rites. The new simply as the Novus Ordo Mass has simply renewed the same Mass. So no opposition. Benedict XVI denies there is an opposition. So you see, already, if we stop there, comes the question: can we accept that? Can I accept this text? Because if I accept the text, it means I accept the principles on which this text is built. And the principle on which this text is built is there is perfect continuity between the tradition and the Second Council of Vatican. There is identity between the new Mass and the Vetus Mass, the traditional Mass. Do we accept that? Is that traditional? So even though, because to accept this text, you cannot accept the text and refuse the principle of this text. It doesn't make sense. Then there is 12 articles in which Benedict XVI determine exactly what he grounds to do. to the Catholics. Alors, Article 1, Benedict XVI says, the Mass of all time has never been abrogated. So, when Bishop Relay read that, he sang Alleluia, the Te Deum, whatever. Well, it is true, it is good to say it has never been abrogated. But do we need this article to know that? There is the bull, the bill Quo Primum of Pius V, in which he says that Mass cannot be abrogated. It cannot. So we knew already the Mass was not abrogated. So of course it is good to have it said by it is said by Benedict XVI. It is good, but it is nothing new as such. Then there is the other articles. Alors, it is a series of different practical disposition for the liberalization of the Mass. Article 2, the priest needs no permission from Apostolic See and from his ordinary. And this is what Father Cruncho calls no condition. You need no permission. Ah yes, but Article 4, you must be idoneus. Idoneus, it is a priest who is capable of saying Mass. And you know what? A priest who is not incardinated in the diocese cannot say Mass, cannot hear confession. So that means, idoneus, this little word, means society, get lost. You cannot say Mass because you are not incardinated. You must be idoneus. First, get an incardination from the bishop. And the bishop will give you, of course. And then you can say the traditional Mass. So this motu proprio is not for SSPX. It's clear. You must be idoneus. You must be capable to say Mass. And as long as you are not incardinated in a diocese by this bishop, you cannot say Mass. It is unlawful, according to the official church. Voilà. The priest using the missal of John, Blessed John the 23rd, must be qualified, idoneus, and not prevented by law. We are prevented by law. We are. Father Cruncho is prevented by law to say the traditional Mass. He should not, if he respects the law. So you see, simple analysis, a very simple reading of this. Just the Summorum Pontificum, the motu proprio, shows that no, it is not true. The Mass has not been liberated without condition. This is not the truth. There is condition. You must accept the principle that there is continuity between tradition and modernism, and then you must be idoneus. But there is more than this. The letter going with it is very explicit, very clear. Alors, I heard about this letter through Father Etienne de Mornay, who is a priest with whom I worked in Kenya. When I was in Kenya, I spoke with Father Etienne and we said, look, we have the Summorum Pontificum, we don't use it. We have people in Nyeri, near Mount Kenya, in Mombasa, in Tanzania, group of 30, 40, 50 people, and we have not made them write to the bishop to ask for the traditional Mass. So we made them write. They wrote a letter to the bishop. All of them they signed, 20, 30, 40 signature. sent the letter to the bishop. Most of the bishops, they didn't bother to answer. But one of them answered from Tanzania. And he said, but are you okay? Summorum Pontificum is not for you. Go and read the letter, go and read it. You must accept the Second Council of Vatican, you must accept the new Mass. Do you do that? When we read the letter, we tried and said, what's that? So we went to read the letter, going with Summorum Pontificum. And the bishop is right. It is clear. I can read for you. Alors, now, I'll start by reading what Bishop Foley read. I would like to draw your attention, so Benedict XVI is speaking to the bishops, to the fact that dismissal was never juridically abrogated and consequently, in principle, was always permitted. Ah, fantastic. Oui. So it's permitted. We can say the Mass. Wait a second. There is the paragraph 6. In the same paragraph, Benedict XVI makes a distinction. But be careful. Be careful. We all know that in the movement led by Archbishop Lefebvre, fidelity to the old missal became an external mark of identity. But the reason for the break which arose over this, however, were at a deeper level. And then the 16 opposed to that case another case. Many people who clearly accepted the binding character of the Second Council of Vatican and who were faithful to the Pope and to the bishops, nonetheless also desired to recover the form of the liturgy they so dearly love when blah. So, it means you can recover the liturgy of your childhood, or the liturgy that you dearly love, the traditional liturgy, when you clearly accept the binding character of the Second Council of Vatican, and when you are faithful to the Pope and to the bishops. And Benedict XVI opposed this group of faithful to the movement of Archbishop Lefebvre. Meaning, the movement of Archbishop Lefebvre is schismatic because they are not faithful to the Pope, and heretical because they do not accept the binding character of a ecumenical council of the Catholic Church. So, in the same paragraph, Benedict XVI is telling SSPX, you are heretic and schismatic. Of course, the bishop, when he saw our letter, he said, stop the joke. Have you read the text? So, the traditional Mass is for the modernist. That's all. It is not for SSPX. And paragraph 11, it is very clear. Paragraph 11, Benedict XVI declare there is no contradiction between the two editions of the Roman Missal. There is no contradiction. This is typical of Benedict XVI. There is this, since the 20th century, yes, there is a tendency to juridical positivism. And so whatever the law declares, this is true, you see. There is this mindset. The law makes the truth. And Benedict XVI has this mindset. Benedict XVI declares there is no opposition. Therefore, there is no opposition. There is no contradiction. I say there is 4 persons in the Holy Trinity. I am the Pope, I declare it. Therefore, 4 persons in the Holy Trinity is not in contradiction with 3 persons. No. But 3 is not 4, and 4 is not 3. With God, maybe. This is the mindset behind, Well, and then he says, needless to say. So needless to say, obviously, in order to experience full communion, the priests of the communities adhering to the former usage cannot, as a matter of principle, exclude celebrating according to the new books. So, if you want to say the traditional Mass, you must accept the new books. Now the question is this: did SXPX accept the new books? Because when Bishop Felay accepted this Summorum Pontificum, the text, he thanks the Pope for that. He wrote a letter of acceptation, the 7th of July, the following day. So Bishop Felay adhered, I'm sure, mind and soul, he adhered to the former usage of saying Mass, but did he exclude as a principle to celebrate according to the new books? If he did so, it is against the will of the Pope. Now there is a problem for him, because the Benedict XVI, being the Pope, cannot be denied he is a Catholic. And therefore, his commandments are binding the conscience of the Catholics. So you see, there is the reaction of Bishop Felay is incoherent, absolutely illogical. He accepts the motu proprio because it comes from the Pope. You cannot reject it. That was what he said. But can you pick and choose? Because it is what he does. He adheres to the former usage and says, I know I cannot accept the new books. But it is worse than everything. In that case, you recognize, you accept the principle that since he is the Pope, you have to accept his documents. And therefore, it is from the Pope, you cannot pick and choose. You have to accept the whole of it. Otherwise, you reject the document. So his position is illogical, absolutely incoherent. And again, this is typical of liberals. Liberals are not heretics, sticking to a heretic definition of the faith or whatever. No, they are incoherent. They accept a principle which lead to heresy, or in the case of the Mass, which leads to a sin. But at the same time, they say, we shall not do it. It's absolutely incoherent, illogical. Doesn't make sense. And this incoherence is typical of the liberals. The total exclusion of the new rite would not, in fact, be consistent with the recognition of its value and holiness. Of course, if you recognize that the new Mass has value and holiness, even a little bit, you cannot exclude as a principle to say it. So you see, there is condition. There is condition. After that, I went to read the text of the Indat of 84. And interesting. So you see, to summarize Summorum Pontificum, every priest can say the Mass, provided he is incardinated, provided he recognizes the value and holiness of the new Mass, provided he recognizes the binding character of the Second Council of Vatican. The Indat of 84 says, you must say the new Mass, but if you like it or blah blah, you can say the whole Mass. Under 5 conditions, There's two that really have no interest. So the first one it is, you must recognize the legitimacy and the doctrinal correctness, goodness of the new mass. You must have the authorization of your bishop, and you must not mix the two missals. So you stick to one. When you say the traditional mass, you take 62. You don't mix a bit of the two missals. Bon. Where is the difference? As for the acceptance of the new mass, same. For the bishop, Summorum Pontificum says, you don't need to have any authorization from the bishop. True, it is this condition is less strong, is weaker than compared to indult mass, and therefore for a Novus Ordo priest it is a help. But for us, it is the same. Because if I want to say the new mass, the traditional mass, I have to be incardinated. So I have to ask the bishop. I have no other way. And then about mixing the two missals, the Summorum Pontificum says that even though a priest, what it says exactly? The two forms of the usage of the Roman Rite can be mutually enriching. New saints should be inserted in the old missal. Since Bishop Felay has accepted the Summorum Pontificum, he should insert in his missal Saint John Paul II, Blessed John the 23rd, because it is what the Pope. Well, it is not absolutely an obligation, but it should be. So if you cannot refuse the Summorum Pontificum because it comes from the Pope, but you cannot refuse its request because it comes from the Pope. So in fact, Bishop Felay disobeyed to the Pope. That's good. And you see, Summorum Pontificum brings another point. The priest must recognize the binding character of Second Council of Vatican. This condition is not touched at all in the indult of 84. So all in all, Summorum Pontificum is worse than indult of 84. It puts more pressure about recognizing the modernist doctrine, even though it is a bit more open about the practical condition. And you see, the liberals, they always look at the practical. This is practical. They do not look at the principles, not so much. And it seems that it is what Bishop Felay did. He looked, this Summorum Pontificum is practical, therefore we can accept it. But the principle of this Summorum Pontificum are completely against us. It is against tradition. Practically speaking, it is good. This is typical of a liberal mind again, you see. Then lastly, at the end, I went to Archbishop Lefebvre to know what Archbishop Lefebvre thought of the indult of 84. Let me see. Voilà. I read a conference he gave in Stuttgart in the 29th of October 1984. So 27 days after the indult. Indult, it is the 3rd of October, conference 29th. So Archbishop Lefebvre says the indult is a good thing with regard the Novus Ordo faithful, because it will give them an opportunity to discover or rediscover that Mass. So for them, who are modernists, consciously or unconsciously, it is a good. They will have the opportunity to see a traditional Mass and, who knows, to come back to the full tradition through that. Then he said, it is a reason of hope with regard to us. Now, if you cut the quotation of Archbishop there, they say, Bishop Pelé, Archbishop, it is the same. A good thing for the Nouveau Sort of people, and a reason of hope for us. Wait a minute. Why a reason of hope? Bishop Lefebvre says, because simply, God usually traps the devil in the trap he sets. That means God will use that trap of the devil, meaning in that of 84, to make him fall. This is why we can hope, because God can make a good from an evil. And at the end, the third point of his conference was the indult with regard the Roman authorities is the clear proof of the modernist treachery. Exactly he said, to my mind, this decree is a typical example of the present mentality at Rome, the progressive mentality. This decree is a progressive decree. It is not a traditional decree. So you see, Archbishop looks at indult, John Paul II giving the indult Mass, and he says, wow, this is not traditional. This is typical of the modernist mentality. I give you something practical, but I force you to accept modernist principles, false principles. But he said, at the same time, because God can use evil to make a good, we can hope that this indult will bring good to the church. Not because the decree is good. No, the decree is modernist, is anti-traditional. But because God can trap the devil in his own trap. In 2007, we have the same decree, essentially the same. Some accidental changes, but essentially the same decree. Bishop Pelé looked at it and said, wow, this is an undeniable step towards tradition. So you see the difference of the mindset between Archbishop and Bishop Pelé. They don't have the same view on the crisis of the church. And you see, in 2007, I didn't notice that. This acceptance of the motu proprio is enough to say the headquarters there, they have gone. They are not with the Archbishop anymore. This is not true. Now they can argue, well, yes, but our way is better. What they cannot say, it is that they are faithful to Archbishop. This is not true. And you see, this is one of the main reproaches we can do to Bishop Pelé. Archbishop Lefebvre is not the Pope. Therefore, the way he has chosen to work, to adopt in the crisis of the church, it is his way. He can advise many people to follow him because he's an archbishop, he knows a lot, okay? But he cannot impose, he's not the Pope. So Bishop Pelé can find a better way to follow his way. Good on him. I wish him good. I prefer to follow Archbishop. And I'm sure this is the best. But now what Bishop Pelé should do is to say clearly to the faithful, to my opinion, I think I have found a better way. That at least the faithful and the priest, they can choose between Bishop Pelé and Archbishop in clarity, without being deceived. What is unacceptable, it is that Bishop Pelé present himself as a follower of Archbishop when he is not anymore, and for years already. And that it is intellectually a dishonesty, it is a lie. So you see, in 2007, I know only one priest who raised his voice against that, Father Seriani. And in 2009, he left the society. At this time, most of the priests personally, I was a seminarian. I was told to sing the Te Deum, I sang the Te Deum without a false note. Father Chazal was not very happy with it. He didn't go to sing the Te Deum, but, well, he didn't mind that much. But you see, already at this time, the mind of the headquarters, he was already equivalent to Saint Peter. Already equivalent to Saint Peter. And only few priests. And so far I know only one layman who in 2007 understood the problem. So you see, that it must show us that everyone has his own speed to understand the crisis. 2007, most of us, we continue to trust Bishop Foley when we should have not. And I wrote a letter about it to Father Crancho, and I told him that nowadays I regret to have accepted the Summorum Pontificum. If I hadn't understood as I understand now, I would have left the seminary. Well, good for you, I didn't, so I'm here. I had to speak to you, so you see that God can do a good from an evil. It was not good of me to accept it, but I said that I plead not guilty because I just did not understand. I did not understand what was going on. So you see, the first lesson of that, it is, well, everyone understands the crisis more or less deep and at his own speed. The second is that your conscience binds you. You see, now that I have understood that, if I accept, now that I have understood the modernist maneuver with Summorum Pontificum, if I accept it, I will be guilty of it, and probably it will be for me a grave fault. But somebody who does not understand the problem, as I was in 2007, that I was bound to follow my conscience. My conscience did not understand anything. You follow it. And this is why you can have good people among the modernists, or Saint Peter or SSPX, even priests. And then the last lesson of that business, it is even though you continue to go to the Mass of SSPX, you must be extremely careful about what you hear, what you are told. Not so much, in the catechism or the sermon, sermon about Lent, about, well, it will be a spiritual or doctrinal sermon as usual. No, the problem will be more the way the crisis of the church is presented. The news from Rome. All those news, the way the priest presents the crisis of the church. That, be extremely careful. The way it was sold to me was a traditional document. not so much traditional, but on the way to be traditional. And it is not. It is absolutely false. This document is made to foster modernism. So you see, this is the problem in the SSPX. It is not so much the sacraments and catechism. No. It is the priests who have the same mind as Bishop Frele. They will make you see the tradition where there is modernism. And that is the danger. So you must be very careful when you continue to go to SSPX. You must be very careful. And the day you can see, at time you come back, after Sunday Mass, you come back, you don't know what to think about, and that time is clear. You must stop. You see, for example, in Thailand, I had a man, he approached me in January. He told me, Father, I've chosen to stop to go there, going there, because I have noticed every time I go there, when I come home, I don't know what now, where to stand, and this is clear. This is clear. And he noticed it, stopped going to SSPX, and he did well. So you must be careful. The day you see you are like this, it means you have to stop. Voilà. Yes. That's all for tonight.
Seems to me that you might have missed, or maybe I missed it, but the problem which struck me when that came out was the fact that it makes the traditional Mass the extraordinary rite, while the Novus Ordo remains the ordinary rite. So in that sense, it's subordinated.
It is a juridical translation of the principle of continuity. Since there is continuity, perfect continuity between tradition and modernism, there is continuity between the traditional Mass and the Novus Ordo Mass. So they are both. It is two rites of the same. It is two forms of the same rite.
But the extraordinary is subordinate to the ordinary.
But even though it would be the opposite.
I know, that's what I mean. So that to us was what was
but
most clear here.
This distinction, ordinary, extraordinary, means the two Mass are good, but the new Mass, the Novus Ordo Mass, is ordinary because it is the Mass as it is said in St. Peter Basilica. So normally you should follow the Mass that the Pope says.
It's the normative Mass. Really.
Yes, well, exactly.
So even in there, it makes the Novus Ordo normative, and you have to accept that the Novus Ordo is the normative Mass in order to say the traditional Mass.
Yes, it is clear that you must recognize as a principle the value, the holy. You cannot exclude as a principle to say the new Mass. That means it is the norm, but you have the authorization not to follow this norm. You follow another norm, which is equivalent, but less frequent, less spread. That's all. So you see, this ordinary, extraordinary is simply a juridical translation of those principles.
You win now.
Voilà. As an example, how SSPX continue to twist the things, it is an article on Dici about Philippines, describing the Pope's visit in Philippines. You can go on Dici, you will see this article says when the Pope's visit in Philippines was traditional, was really help for the tradition, and we are in Philippines, and I listened to some of the sermons of the popes during the visit. Watched some of his masses. is the mass in Manila, the last mass. You know, millions of people. The way they gave the communion was shocking. You have people, you know, coming, you know, like this, you know, above each other, you know, and you know they give communion like this, you know, up, pass from hand to hand, you know. I don't know how many hosts they have dropped on the floor. I don't know. It is, you see that it is like a gold rush, you know, to grab the host from the Pope's Mass. Traditional. Yeah, and what he said in his sermons was pure modernism and condoning cohabitation, things like this. So you see, on this sheet, they make up an article which does not fit with the reality at all. The guy in France or in UK, he reads that and says, there's a bit of hope in the crisis. Tradition is coming up in Philippines, when it is not the truth. So it is typical of the headquarters in Menzingen, Father Lawrence with Vichy. So that is the problem. You must keep yourself informed. You must keep your eyes open. When you see that you are disturbed, you are in doubt, you don't know what to think anymore after going to Mass in Wanganui, in Saint Anthony, that is a sign for me. You must stop. And that is up to you. It is up to you to know where you stand. I cannot make the choice for you. You have to be sincere with God, upright, and to take your decision in conscience. But know something. If you stop going, it is not after a month going back there. This is the worst situation, you know. Because if you go back there after a month, you know, you will be humble and more willing than ever to follow them. So when you take the decision, you must know what you do, why you do it, and it is definitive till sspx change, if they change. Okay, I don't know what time is it.
9. 20 to 9.
Okay.
Quarter to 9.
Yes, well, he knows I'm not punctual.
Thank you, Father.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we can continue the prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Ghost.
As it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen.
Most Sacred Heart of Jesus, Immaculate Heart of Mary,
Pray for us.
Saint Joseph,
Pray for us.
Thanks.